Today's video is a full 5-day paleo meal prep, but we're not just doing any meal prep, we're doing a fall edition meal prep. So if you're ready to warm up your meals and spice things up, definitely keep on watching. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tanya. I'm an integrative health coach. Fall is all about getting back into routines after the summer months, and there's no better routine than meal prepping. Meal prepping saves you money, it prevents food wastage, and it's definitely going to save you time throughout the week if you prep your meals ahead of time. Plus, every evening after a long day of work, you're not gonna have to figure out what you're gonna eat. It'll all be figured out for you already and prepped. All right, let's get meal prepping. But first, I'd love if you could give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. First up, we're going to be making an absolute fall classic, and that is pumpkin pancakes. These pancakes are grain-free, gluten-free, they're dairy-free, but the best part is that they are delicious and so fluffy. So we're going to be prepping all the pancakes ahead of time so you can quickly reheat them in the morning, and then I recommend making some eggs and bacon the morning of to create a well-balanced plate. In a large mixing bowl, we're going to whisk the eggs and then add the pumpkin, some maple syrup, and some vanilla extract. In a separate bowl, we're going to combine the almond flour, some ground cinnamon, some pumpkin spice, a little bit of baking soda, and a pinch of sea salt. Then all we have to do is add the dry ingredients to the wet ones, mix well, and let the batter sit for a few minutes. In the meantime, let's place a pan on medium heat with some coconut oil. Once the pan has warmed up and the oil has melted, you can go ahead and prepare the pancakes by cooking them for about a minute to a minute and a half each side. And that's it. Once you have all your pancakes, you can store them in a container in the fridge. And as I mentioned, the morning of, you can quickly make some bacon and eggs for a balanced breakfast that will keep you full until your next meal. Okay, now that we have breakfast covered, let's move on to lunch. We're going to be prepping the ingredients for a fall harvest salad. If you've been following my YouTube for a while or Instagram, you know that I love my nourishables, and this version that we're going to be making here today is one of my favorites, if not the favorite. It's so good. Everything, the ingredients, the textures, everything just meshes so well. I personally don't like assembling a salad and then having it sit in the container until I eat it. Instead, I like to prep the ingredients and have them in separate containers, and then whenever you're ready to eat it at lunchtime, you can just quickly assemble your bowl. Now, if you prefer just making your salads like in separate containers, you can totally do that as well. So this salad honestly has all the fall essentials. We got some squash, we got some apples, we got cranberries, we have it all. We also have 2 cooked ingredients. This is one way I like to change up my salads from summer to colder days, just adding more warming foods into my meals. So we're going to be doing some chicken breasts and some squash, and I like to prepare both in the oven. So what I recommend doing is actually prepping one of them. So I went ahead and prepped the chicken breast while I was doing the pancakes. So my chicken breast already done, and then you just keep the oven on, and then we can move right to the squash. Start by dicing your squash and then place it on a baking sheet with some avocado oil, salt, and pepper. We're going to bake it in the oven for about 30 minutes at 400 Fahrenheit degrees. While the squash is cooking, we'll also chop some apples and prepare the vinaigrette. This salad is super flavorful on its own, but if you want to add even more flavor, this dressing will definitely do it. All you have to do is add some apple cider vinegar, some extra virgin olive oil, some freshly squeezed orange juice, Dijon mustard, and a little bit of salt in a mason jar. Give it a good shake, and voila, you have your dressing for the entire week. And that's it. At lunchtime, you can quickly assemble your salad by placing some of the greens at the bottom of a large bowl, then add some chicken, some squash, apples, some dried cranberries, and I'm using a mix of pumpkin seeds and some pecans, but you could honestly add any type of nuts and seeds you have on hand. Walnuts are also a great option for this type of salad. And of course, don't forget your vinaigrette. moving on to dinner. For dinner, we're going to be prepping 2 different meals to keep things interesting throughout the week. We're going to be doing a butternut squash chili and some chicken thighs with some root veggies. When it comes to meal prepping, it's good to plan out the order that you're going to make each meal. So for example, if I'm prepping 2 meals like I am today, I would try to make sure that one is using maybe the oven and one's using the stove top, so I can do them at the same time instead of having to wait. So these 2 meals are perfect. We're going to be doing the chicken thighs in the oven and the vegetables as well, and then we'll be doing the chili on the stove top. So let's get the chicken and vegetables going. This meal is super simple. We'll start by coating the chicken with some oil, and then we're just going to add some salt and pepper, and then go ahead and place that in the oven right away and set a timer for 45 minutes. Then we'll move on to the vegetables. We just have to chop them and place them on a separate baking sheet with, again, some oil, salt, and pepper. And then we'll add the vegetables with the chicken in the oven. So the chicken's going to cook a little bit longer than the vegetables. Chicken will be around 45 minutes, and then the vegetables will be more like 30 to 35 minutes. All right, moving on to the chili. Let's start by preparing some veggies, starting with a celery. I just cut them in half lengthwise and then dice them. We're also going to be dicing some onions. Then we're going to place a pan on medium heat with a little bit of olive oil and add the celery and onions. Once they have softened a bit, let's go ahead and add some ground beef. I'm using some grass-fed ground beef from my local butcher shop, but use whatever you have available. If you are using conventional beef, which means it's been fed grains, I do highly recommend going for an extra lean ground beef. While the beef is cooking, let's dice a butternut squash, and then as soon as the beef is ready, we can add it in the pan to allow it to soften with the cover. By now, the chicken and root vegetables should be done, so you can go ahead and divide those in 2 containers. I love using containers with a divider in the middle, so it kind of keeps the chicken and veggies separate. If you are interested in grabbing some, I will link them in the description box down below. Once the squash has softened a bit, we're going to transfer everything into a large pot, along with a can of tomato sauce, a can of diced tomatoes, 1 diced zucchini, and some chili seasoning. Let's go ahead and bring that to a boil and then lower to a simmer. Alright, it wouldn't be a fall meal prep without making some kind of apple dessert. So today we're going to be making some apple crumble bars. I am so excited for these right now. They are so delicious, and not to mention they're grain-free, gluten-free, and dairy-free. I absolutely love creating healthier alternatives to some like traditional desserts. Of course, there's nothing wrong with eating those like a traditional apple pie, but if for some reason you're intolerant to some of the ingredients that is usually in it, like some grains or gluten, or maybe you're just trying to reduce the sugar, then this recipe right here is such a great alternative. I promise you that you're not going to feel like you're depriving yourself or sacrificing anything with this dessert. First up, we're going to make the filling. In a medium pot, place 3 chopped apples, the juice of half a lemon, 1/3 cup of water, and 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Give it a good mix and then place it on the stovetop and bring it to a boil to slightly soften the apples. Meanwhile, we're going to prepare the crust. In a mixing bowl, add 1 cup of almond flour, about 1/4 cup of coconut flour, 1/4 cup of maple syrup, 1/2 cup of melted ghee. This honestly makes the crust so buttery. I love it. Mix it well and then flatten the mixture at the bottom of an 8x8 inch baking pan with some parchment paper. And we'll actually go ahead and bake that for 8 minutes at 350 Fahrenheit degrees. While that's baking, we can finish the filling by adding some tapioca flour, cinnamon, some nutmeg, and some salt to it. Last step before baking everything is making a little crumble for the top. All you have to do is combine 1/2 cup of almond flour, 1/4 cup of chopped pecans, or any nut you prefer honestly, and then some ghee, maple syrup, a little bit of salt, and mix everything well. Once the crust is done baking, you can just add the apple mixture on top of it and then complete with the crumble. We're going to go ahead and bake everything for an additional 25 minutes. While that's baking, let's place the chili in 3 different containers. And I really like adding some avocado on top or some fresh cilantro when it's time to eat it. Once the apple crumble bars are done, allow it to cool down. You can take the bars out, and my favorite way of enjoying this treat is with some dairy-free vanilla ice cream. Alright, I really hope you enjoyed this meal prep and give it a go. I know it can seem like a lot of work, but trust me, you're gonna save so much time throughout the week, so it's totally worth it. You can also grab my free 7-day downloadable meal plan. It includes the recipes with pictures and everything. It has the meal plan, of course, and then a grocery list to make your grocery experience as easy as possible. So you can grab that as the first link in my description box. If you like this video, I'd be so grateful if you could give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And if you know of anyone that could benefit from watching this video, then definitely share it with them. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!